Sex Discrimination Act 1975. 1975 Chapter 65. An act to render unlawful certain kinds of sex discrimination and discrimination on the ground of marriage, and establish a commission with the function of working towards the elimination of such discrimination and promoting equality of opportunity between men and women generally, and for related purposes. Sex discrimination against women. 1. A person discriminates against a woman in any circumstances relevant for the purposes of any provision of this act. A. On the ground of her sex he treats her less favorably than he treats or would treat a man, or B. He applies to her a requirement or condition which he applies or would apply equally to a man, but I which is such that the proportion of women who can comply with it is considerably smaller than the proportion of men who can comply with it, and 2. Which he cannot show to be justifiable irrespective of the sex of the person to whom it is applied, and 3. Which is to her detriment because she cannot comply with it. 2. If a person treats or would treat a man differently according to the man's marital status, his treatment of a woman is for the purposes of subsection 1a, to be compared to his treatment of a man having a like marital status. Discrimination against applicants and employees. 1. It is unlawful for a person, in relation to employment by him at an establishment in Great Britain, to discriminate against a woman. A. In the arrangements he makes for the purpose of determining who should be offered that employment, or B. In the terms on which he offers her that employment, or C. By refusing or deliberately omitting to offer her that employment. 2. It is unlawful for a person, in the case of a woman employed by him at an establishment in Great Britain, to discriminate against her. A. In the way he affords her access to opportunities for promotion, transfer or training, or to any other benefits, facilities or services, or by refusing or deliberately omitting to afford her access to them, or B. By dismissing her, or subjecting her to any other detriment. Equal Pay Act 1970. 1. In Section 1 of the 1970 circa 41 Equal Pay Act 1970, the following are substituted for subsections 1, 2, 3. 1. If the terms of a contract under which a woman is employed at an establishment in Great Britain do not include, directly or by reference to a collective agreement or otherwise, an equality clause, they shall be deemed to include 1. 2. An equality clause is a provision which relates to terms, whether concerned with pay or not, of a contract under which a woman is employed, the woman's contract, and has the effect that A. Where the woman is employed on like work with a man in the same employment. If, apart from the equality clause, any term of the woman's contract is or becomes less favorable to the woman than a term of a similar kind in the contract under which that man is employed, that term of the woman's contract shall be treated as so modified as not to be less favorable, and 2. If, apart from the equality clause, at any time the woman's contract does not include a term corresponding to a term benefiting that man included in the contract under which he is employed, the woman's contract shall be treated as including such a term. B. Where the woman is employed on work rated as equivalent with that of a man in the same employment. Where a person offers a woman employment on certain terms, and if she accepted the offer then, by virtue of an equality clause, any of those terms would fall to be modified, or any additional term would fall to be included, the offer shall be taken to contravene Section 61b. 4. Where a person offers a woman employment on certain terms, and subsection 3 would apply but for the fact that, on her acceptance of the offer, Section 1(3) of the Equal Pay Act 1970, as set out in subsection 1 above, would prevent the equality clause from operating, the offer shall be taken not to contravene Section 61b. Discrimination against contract workers. 1. This section applies to any work for a person, the principal, which is available for doing by individuals, contract workers, who are employed not by the principal himself but by another person, who supplies them under a contract made with the principal. 2. It is unlawful for the principal, in relation to work to which this section applies, to discriminate against a woman who is a contract worker. A. In the terms on which he allows her to do that work, or B. By not allowing her to do it or continue to do it, or C. In the way he affords her access to any benefits, facilities or services, or by refusing or deliberately omitting to afford her access to them, or D. by subjecting her to any other detriment. 3. The principle does not contravene subsection 2b, by doing any act in relation to a woman at a time when, if the work were to be done by a person taken into his employment, being a man would be a genuine occupational qualification for the job.